Internets, there is no better time than to get your loved one a Bevel product. It's the holiday season. So look, if you don't know about Bevel, I'm going to put you on right now. Head on over to getbevel.com/Pete. Get yourself a discount, free shipping. Listen to me. The shaver, the razor. If you get your significant other, your friend, your brother, your cousin, your loved one a Bevel, they will thank you later. So one more time, getbevel.com/Pete. Cheer. Internets, man. Listen, thank you so much for all the feedback from the last episode with Ralph Friedman, the most decorated detective in NYPD history. Man, it was a challenge, and I feel like that episode, obviously many of you know, I got DM'd, emailed, text, so many people hit me up, that it was frustrating for me, but I think I learned to not let my feelings get in the way and really conduct an interview to let this guy tell his side of how he feels. I think it was a good look at the lens of an officer and how they think. And being if I would have probably, let my feelings get in the way, probably we wouldn't be able to hear a lot of that. I know it was tough to do, but I think it was an embracing change that I think is needed to conduct interviews to let people tell their story. We're not going to agree with everything, man. That's just life. I don't agree with everything, a lot of people say, and I'm sure some people don't agree with everything I say, but I think it was frustrating. It was but I could have ended it and then probably not been able to get more of what this guy was saying. And so many people hit me up and was like, look, man, that was frustrating to listen to, but I really enjoyed hearing how they think and operate. And it's not everybody, but it's just, man, listen, check the Ralph Friedman episode. It was good, and I want to do more like that in the future. Not just cops, like maybe people in the judicial system. Am I saying the right judicial? Could be Premium Pete word of the day. But listen, internets, man, keep on checking those episodes. Check the catalog. If this is the first time you're listening, check the catalog, man. I try to diversify every episode. So we try to have an artist, an athlete, an entrepreneur. Listen, who knows who we may have, okay? 2018, I'll tell you one thing. I'm working on a lot of my soprano friends. Forget about it. I want a lot of them motherfuckers in here. But I'll tell you one thing. The You Gotta Eat This sneaker that me and Bun did, the sushi with Ewing, is still available. Shouts to everybody in Houston, man. I had such a good time down there with the live show. Shouts to everybody who copped a pair. More importantly, January 2nd, they will be available worldwide on ewingathletics.com. The sushi, the Ewing Athletic Bum B Premium Pete design, You Gotta Eat This sushi, will be available. Now, if you want them early, DM me. But listen to me. The holiday season is upon us, man, and I want everyone who's listening to take the time to make sure that they spend that holiday season not only eating good, but not getting lost. Listen to me. I'm so happy with my family. We recently found a family through an organization, a nonprofit, that gives gifts to families in need. Maybe, there's no father in the house, or there's no mother, or they don't have any parents. So we found the family, and it's a Castro family. Shouts to the Castro family. No, they're not related to Fidel Castro. And it's 3 daughters and a mother. And we were able to give them, it's crazy because, my whole family got involved. And I feel, for some reason, I want people to understand that. I feel like people think you need to be rich to give back. People think you need to have, a lot of money to give back. Motherfucker, I'm still trying to figure it the fuck out. But it takes nothing to buy a couple of gifts for kids who and I'll be honest with you, as a parent of an almost 18-year-old and almost 3-year-old, Christmas is sometimes not my favorite holiday because these kids open up gift after gift after gift. And what's next? What's next? And you think about it, there's kids that have no gifts. And I always preach presents over presents, meaning being there over giving a gift. But sometimes it's also, in this holiday season, don't forget, it's presents with presents. You give a gift, but you be there. Maybe give a football, but you got to play and throw that football around. being a parent and or just being a person around the holiday season is very stressful. Financially, it's tough. So, what we did for that family, man, I mean, even the mother, we had got her some ShopRite gift cards. I think the kids got some toys, like things they asked for, some clothes, some Sephora gift cards. And, my whole family got involved, and I'm proud. I'm proud that we're able to do that. And I want to continue to do more of that. Years ago, I used to go to the homeless shelters on Thanksgiving and let my daughter, we used to serve the homeless. And I want to show her that, we ain't got it that good, but we ain't got it that bad. And I think it's important to teach your kids that shit, because it's so quick for them to socially want something quick and have instant gratification and not understand how fucking hard it is for people out in this world. So listen, holiday seasons, man, I'm excited as an Italian. We have this thing called Feast of the Seven Fishes, and it's Christmas Eve, and I'm looking so fucking excited for it, man. It's because I love fish. And it's everything, galamad, it's lobster, it's oysters, it's fucking stuffed filet, salmon, shrimp, that beer-battered shrimp. But I'll tell you one thing I also want to say before we get to this episode. Shouts to anybody on a diet and sticking to it. Let me tell you something. I decided to fucking try to go on a diet a couple of days ago. First of all, I'm fucking mad for no reason. After I'm done eating salad and broccoli and fucking some grilled chicken, I was fucking looking for more food. I'm frustrated. I'm fucking I'm arguing with fucking people. Let me tell you something, man. I man, it's crazy to even say this, but I'm fucking doing this diet because I feel I just want to eat better. And then whatever I ate, I was I'm fucking starving. I went and snuck a fucking slice of pizza. I made love to that fucking thing. I mean, it was insane, how I felt. I felt I don't know, man. That's why I say, shouts to anybody who's on a diet, man. It's not easy. It's not fucking easy. But listen, during the holidays, get ready. Get ready to spend that time with your family, your friends, your loved ones. Don't miss the opportunity of sharing those special moments. I want to take this time to really send my love and blessings to Combat Jack. If you love this guy, if you appreciate anything he's done, send that man a tweet, send him a DM, whatever it is. If he don't get back to you, don't worry about that. Just send him your love, because, he needs that now. And, I want to send my love to him, man. I definitely want to send my love to him. So, these holiday seasons that are upon us, make sure you take that time to spend them with your family and your friends and your loved ones. Listen, this episode we're about to get into with Statik Selektah is really dope. I love Statik, man. He has such an amazing journey. I feel like a low-key journey, But this kid has done a lot. I mean, think about it. He speaks about selling his beats for fucking pizza. And then now he did something for fucking Eminem or 2 Chainz or fucking Wiz Khalifa or how he's been able to work with OGs but also usher in new talent like Action Bronson, like Joey Badass, like Wiz Khalifa, like Mac Miller. Man, this Statik Selektah episode is filled with gems, filled with hip-hop, filled with somebody who just followed their passion and turned it into reality. Internets, I present to you the Statik Selektah episode. Cheer.
Come on, everybody get set, let's go. It's the next episode. It's the Premium Pete Show. News, interviews, all of the info. Listen up, it's the Premium Pete Show. If you want the scoop in the low, down low, listen to the show, cause Milk said so. Fuck what you heard, better act like you know. It's the Premium Pete Show.
Internets, welcome back to another episode of the Premium Pete Show. Sitting here with my guy, the one and only Statik Selektah.
That's good, man. Finally.
I say that with certain people, but, I always tell people it's the follow-up. Some people hit somebody up and like, if they consider them a friend or somebody that they fuck with. And then if you don't follow up, sometimes shit never happens because people are spinning. Right. You may be spinning, I may be spinning. You're touring the world.
I'm spinning every night records. But,
exactly. First off, right off the bat, Statik Selektah. How does that even, what the fuck, where did that come from?
In junior high school, I started DJing, and my name was DJ. Well, it was actually Shorty B first. And then
why Shorty B?
Because I was like a short kid, and then I grew a little bit to the point where I was like at least average, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna come up with another name. And I was just like, hey, DJ Statik. I got Static with all these kids because a lot of them were like still on that, like, you listen to hip hop, man. You don't live in the hood, like because I had just moved to the suburbs from Lawrence, which is a city.
You talking about in Boston?
Yeah, but I moved from Lawrence to New Hampshire, which was like the suburbs. So there was a lot of like people would literally say like, "You're not from Compton. Why are you listening to that?" Like stupid, white people stereotype shit in the 90s.
Bro, I say this all the time, and it's funny that then you have another chance to look at it from a different lens.
Right.
I personally, I'm Italian, I'm white, but I think you're Irish, right? You're Irish?
I'm Irish and French.
Irish, white.
French Canadian.
But, growing up, I know how much you love hip-hop. You know how much I love hip-hop. I mean, you got tats all over your fucking body of hip-hop. There's no question.
It's been my life since I was like 10.
I know that. But I've gotten people that said to me, like, yo, what are you trying to be, black? What are you trying to be, a wigger? I've gotten that.
Those are the same people that still vote for, like, still going for Trump, having his back and all that.
I mean, this is back in the day, too.
Yeah. They've always been here.
Yeah.
It's like now the only good thing to come out of what we're going through in the world is just seeing the spotlight put back on these people, you know what I mean?
Sure. You've been I mean, look, your journey has been definitely something to be documented, and we'll bounce around. But speaking of being called a wigger, or speaking of being called like, yo, you're not from here, what the fuck you think you hip-hop? When did you actually think that you belonged in hip-hop? Meaning where you weren't like, yo, I do this, When
you get around other people that do it, and especially because, like, I would go back, to an area that's like 85% Latino in Lawrence and get my hair cut. And, the first thing someone would say is like, you DJ? Word? This is like 1998. Mm-hmm. And the first thing they'd be like, you DJ? And then they hear me, and then that conversation's over with. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like in hip-hop, especially the hood will embrace you if you prove yourself.
Sure.
Because it's like, oh, damn, we don't see that on the regular, you know what I mean? Like this white kid coming over here and just doing what he does.
Sure.
So it's like, I got past that quick in that world. But back, where I was going to high school, it was like still, but by the time 97 came, I think a lot of that changed, and a lot of the kids that listen, they started, like Puff Daddy and the Family introduced a lot of the suburbs to a lot of hip hop. You know what I mean? Biggie, Tupac. But even when Big and Pac were alive, I saw, maybe towards the end, I started to see more kids in that area get into it. But it took a long time. But once 97, 98 came, it was like,
it was a wrap.
Regular.
I say that too because some people become a product of their environment. Meaning, like, I know Chinese kids that live in the projects that you would never think of Chinese.
Right.
It depends on how they grow up and what they really value.
Yeah.
But growing up, you grew up with mom and dad.
Yeah, till I was 10. They got divorced when I was 10, and then my whole world just changed. Like,
for the worse, you mean?
I was like a square kid, man. I mean, it's funny because I look back now, it's like 10 years old. Most people are square. They're 10 years old. But literally when I was 11, I got sent away for like a little while. And it was basically a place for like troubled kids. And I had to grow up. Huh?
Like a Spofford?
It wasn't like a DYS. It was more like I'm trying to think of the right way to describe it. Like you're locked
like
in every night.
Maybe.
Yeah, but it wasn't like jail cells. It was like rooms that, they get locked every night and you can't leave the room. But like I said, I was 11 years old. So I was I was the youngest kid. A lot of them were like 14 to 17. And, once you're 17, you're going to real jail.
Sure.
But the rest of the kids in there were all older than me, and I had to, like, grow up really fast. Like, I went from having my first kiss to, like, talking about sex, like, really, really fast. Like, the girl I started dating while I was in there, we broke up, maybe 2 months later, and she got pregnant. Like, that's not normal for an 11-year-old to deal with, you know what I mean? She was 14, but still. It's like looking back on all of it now, it's like, man, life was crazy compared to like all this.
Sure. Like what does a regular 11-year-old do? Think about it.
I don't even know. I watch them now. Like I see family members and like family of family and just see it and be like, man, you pussy. When I was 11, I was, you know what I mean? But I don't want to be that old guy that's like, but things have changed and you know that.
Things have changed. So, would you say that was because your parents got divorced that led you?
Yeah, definitely. 1,000,000%. I thought life was like cookie cutter, like this is what it is. I used to go to church every Sunday. All that disappeared, very shortly after that happened. And I went from really going home after school every day and playing with toys to running from the cops, doing graffiti. And a lot of that had to do with hip hop. Like you get into graffiti and breakdancing and all that. Breakdancing came a little bit later. I was like probably 15 when I got into that, which I was never that good at. But I hung with the best though. We used to, man, just the whole thing of like going to the mall and at the most troubled times. I'm not gonna act like I was a little thief, but I've stolen my share of cassettes and all that, and taken the, you know, what we used to do is save up like $10, go to, you know, Tape Worlds or Record Town, put the tissue in the cassette and record our raps over that. Like we get the cheapest, say there was like a country single for sale for 49 cents. We buy 20 of those, put the, you know, the tissue in the cassette, tape over it with our raps and sell them at lunchtime. And like that, you know, that's what was my initial entrance to the music industry.
That was an old school life hacks. You know,
Yeah.
Well, when you think about it, growing up, 11 years old, going into like, you know, semi-juvenile, you know, troublesome program. What did moms do growing up?
She was, she went from being a realtor to being kind of a stay-at-home mom at one point, and then she had to work when my parents got divorced. So basically, you know, she was gone every day after school. And I actually initially moved in with my father because I was a 10-year-old kid that was like, I want to be with my dad.
Sure. What did Pops do?
And he to this day, he's still working. He's 80 years old.
God
and
bless.
he owns a machine company. They make like parts, like real precision engineered parts for like different mechanics and all that.
You have a good relationship with Pops?
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, I FaceTime with my daughter and all that. We disagree on a lot of things, but as far as like, you know, life, he taught me, you know, sports and how to add and a lot of like science and mathematics stuff that I think helped me out a lot.
You know, the reason why I mentioned, you know, your parents divorcing and you know, embarking on like a troublesome journey is because, you know, listen, I always say this to people, man. If you get with somebody and you have a kid, just try your best always to make that shit work. I'm not saying stay with somebody if
absolutely.
It doesn't work, because I'm telling you, there's a different life someone gets when they're raised with a parent.
Absolutely.
Both parents. You know what I mean?
I mean, my daughter's 2 and I'm already dealing with stuff like that. Like me and her mom beef all the time, but at the end of the day, we look at each other like we need to keep whatever it is together for the kid. Because a kid seeing love growing up, and whatever that love may be, it's just seeing 2 adults as a unit raising them is so much more powerful than, you know, separated entities. And sometimes you don't have a choice.
Yeah, sometimes it gets too rough and tough, and you got to exit. But I'll be honest with you, it's like, even like, you know, look at my daughter is going to be 18, my son's going to be 3. But I look at like him, he runs back and forth between me and her. Mommy, daddy, daddy. He loves that shit. The point I'm making too is, and this is what I tell a lot of fathers, when you're a not stay at home dad, when your both families are there, you come home, you see your kid, and you give him a hug, and everything's all cool. You know, you know you're going to see them tomorrow. Right. Like, say if they say, "Hey, Daddy, we'll go on the weekend. Don't worry about it. Or we'll go tomorrow." I'm not saying you're not a good dad. Not meaning you. I'm talking about in general. But when you're a separated dad, you only have a limited amount of time. You make the most of everything because you're not going to see them. You're not sleeping with them all the time.
And unless the woman's a drug addict or something, the woman's getting she's getting the pull when it comes to, you know, the say in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is, especially when you're the breadwinner.
Yeah, of course. But listen, just love your kids, man. But first of all, congrats on being a newly dad.
Thank you.
You know, I see you know, you switching, not switching, but aligning your life to be with your kid. You're on tour, then you come back, you're with her. How's that been for you, trying to be productive?
It's been a new adventure, and I've always been about, you know, new experiences. Like I've been living like that my whole life. Like I never like doing the same thing over and over. And it's like, I feel like for the last couple of years, I've been just in a certain mode, and then the baby came, and it's just like, it's a whole new life kind of. And I've been looking at everything different, from health to, you know, to the risk I take, to just the idea of not being there for her just completely destroys anything out there. So I just try to do what I can. Like, even like how you just said, like how a father might be like, yeah, we'll do it this weekend or something. I try not even to look at it like that. Like, when the time I spend with her is like, it's always like, yo, anything in the world could happen. Not for nothing, we could get nuked any minute by the assholes over here. And it's like, I literally try to treat every moment like, you know, this is what life's about, because it's so precious, man. Life is like very, very precious. I lost a lot of friends recently, and you know, I've seen other guys out there that have lost, kids at a young age. We actually lost a baby right before Harley, and that was like that was a big changer for me, like big time.
God came back and gave you another one.
And you know how I look at it too, because there was a lot of it was a complicated situation, and the way I looked at it after watching, it was some corny movie that was on TV that really changed my view. It's like that first kid was like the vehicle to help Harley be so amazing, because we never know if, something might have been wrong with he or she, or whatever it is, Harley would not be exactly how she is right now if we had that same, you know what I mean? Because we would have waited. It's all about timing in life, and it's about, taking advantage of the opportunity. I just think that Harley came at the perfect time. So
sure, God bless.
That's my jackpot.
I'm happy
right
to see that. It's funny because your journey has been all over the place. Obviously producer, obviously DJ.
DJ first and foremost.
Okay, there you go. See, you remind me of Clark when you say that. But you know what? That's when you know you're dealing with somebody who takes it seriously.
Absolutely.
So let us know how you became a DJ.
Just being into hip hop and as a kid, like we were talking about, it either grabs you or it doesn't. If it took you 10 years to get into it, I guarantee we don't love it the same. You know what I mean? Like, it grabbed me immediately. Like, when I heard LL Cool J and Tribe Called Quest, Scenario is the song that was like, I want to get involved with this. When I saw that video, I must have been like 8 years old, and I was like, nah, this is something else. You know what I mean? This isn't what my brother plays or what my parents are into. Like, this is like, nah, I want to get into this. And, by the time I was 12, I was like really analyzing how the beats are made and all that. But, in 1995, I was 13 years old. I heard DJ Premier live on Hot 97 playing exclusives that he produced live on the radio and scratching, cutting them up and all that. And it was like, damn, like that it just grabbed me. Like, this is what I want to do in my life. Like, I want to be the guy that not only playing the dope songs, but the songs I made. Like, that's a whole nother level. Like, people ask me sometimes, you like DJing or producing more? I like DJing while playing the songs I produced.
But that's why I always give Just Blaze amazing credit. This fucking guy plays
He's the king of it.
His
Him
own
and Prima,
shit.
like, yeah. Just Blaze can do hits all day.
Fuck, when you really think about that.
Hits all day. And he can really DJ. That's the thing. Like, that whole Swiss and Just thing is cool, but Swiss don't want it with Just on the turntables. Yeah. On a skill level, Swiss got a lot of records. But on a skill level, come on, he ain't scratching with Just or like juggling or any of that. One
thing I've always picked up about you over the years is your scratching is nasty.
Thank you, man.
Where did that even come from? Like, did someone teach you?
And watching a lot of it comes from getting into like battling. I was battling at a young age. I won a couple battles, and like my mom wouldn't let me go to the finals because I was still in school. So I like grew up idolizing like Qbert and the Beat Junkies and Rock Raider and the X-Men and all that. Like, it was just, I analyzed it every day. I had all the VHS cassettes you'd have to order from the back of the magazines and all that, and I just watch them every day. And, between that and analyzing Pete Rock and Primo and all these guys that were scratching on records, that was like how I learned, by just listening and analyzing it.
Before I mentioned that you love hip-hop so much, you have tats.
Yeah.
What are some of the tats that people don't know that you have on your body?
I mean, the Nas Illmatic one, it just says Illmatic, but that's on my arm. Not everybody gets to see that because I got like, if I'm wearing a T-shirt, you can't see it. Mm-hmm. But, the visible ones, I Used to Love Her, which is a very, it's one of my favorite songs by Common. I got the Infamous recently for Prodigy.
Most definitely.
I got the Gangstar tat when Guru passed away.
You ever met Guru?
I DJ'd for him at the end. Yeah. Guru was
Tell us about that. How did that happen?
I met Guru before, like way before Preem. Guru actually came to my 19th birthday party.
How?
He came with Crumb Snatcher. It was at Club Karma in Boston. And it was like, I just had the Sunday night that was popping in the city. So they were shooting a video or something, and they just came out. And, by the time I was blowing candles out on my cake, Guru and Crumb is standing next to me, like, really epic for especially being 19 and growing up off Gangstar. Like, it was crazy. So, me and Guru got a certain relationship through the years. I was doing a lot of I ran the street team company up there. First, I worked at Metro Concepts, then Indie Pro, then I started my own show-off marketing. And, we were doing Virgin. So when the owners came out a couple of years later, I was bringing Guru and Premier around the city and all that. And that's how I got cool
In
with
Boston.
Premier. Yeah, but by that point, I had already hung out with Guru a bunch of times. He hosted mixtapes for me and all that. But by that point, I had met Preem, and Preem actually lost his phone in Boston. And he took my phone number and called me one day. And I'm like, who's this? He's like, Premier. I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, you found my phone? I'm like, nah, bro. And the next time I seen him was in New York. I had just moved to New York, and I actually brought him his mail because my friend Travis was working at Empire managing Gangstar. So he's like, yo, we got to bring Premier's records. You want to come with me? I'm like, hell yeah. I had been to D&D once before that, but it had just become headquarters. And we went up there, and Premier's like, yeah, I'm starting a show on Sirius XM. I'm like, yeah, I just started up there too. He's like, I need it. I'm trying to find exclusives right now. And I put him on this list. I had this infamous email list that was like, it was DJ AM, Primo, Green Lantern, like Clinton Sparks, G-Spin. It was a lot of DJs that I was cool with. And, they would all always respond and really appreciate it, because this is like before the internet was like really a place to get exclusives. It was just like the super nerds knew where to go. And I happened to be like, have that connection. Like I was on some nerd shit when it came to getting exclusives. So I would always go to the labels, get them, either go on like certain sites or whatever. And I'd always have the songs first. So I would hook them up, and they'd all hit me up and like take care of me. Like rest in peace, AM. He used to like lace me when I was literally a kid. I would show up to one of his clubs, and I'd walk up like out of dress code and all that. And they'd be like, hey, you're Statik? Yeah. He'd give me 50 drink tickets. Like they'd lace me. AM always looked out for me just off the fact I'd give him so many exclusives. So anyway, me and Preem got real cool off of me just sending him records every week. And then it's grown into a whole different relationship from there. But that was all, the early times in New York when I moved out here.
One thing I admire about you is that the relationships that you have are definitely prosperous. In a game, in an industry that is like kind of shady, man.
Yeah, man. I've sacrificed a lot. Like I think I could be way more successful if I just did really whack shit, like dumb down some of the sound. Every time I go to an A&R meeting, they're always like, when you going to sell out? Like as a joke. And I'm like, I'm still here, bro. Like you guys thought I'd be out of here a long time ago. Or like, producing a bunch of records that didn't matter. Like every year I still got charting records with plaques and all that.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy too, because it's like for me watching your career, you produced a bunch of songs, but it's crazy because it's like some of it with the OGs,
yeah,
and then some of it with the kids.
That's always how I've wanted.
How have you been able to establish that? How have you been able to balance not being saying only because you love 90s hip hop,
right?
You could tell,
yeah,
boom bap, but
I also introduced, Joey,
yeah,
Action, Freddie Gibbs,
yep.
Chance the Rapper never been on the radio in his life. I could go on, Mac Miller. I could go on and on and on about the people I broke through my radio show and through mixtapes and through all that. Even my albums, like I had Young M.A. and Dave East on my last album 2 years ago before they were on anything. They'd never been on anything that's ever been in a store. And, that list is very long. I could go on and on, but I pride myself in that because I want to catch it first. It's like,
How do you? And not giving the sauce away, but I mean,
and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just like when I hear something that stands out and holds the values that I have in hip hop, I go after it, man.
So would you just like reach out to like Dave East and Young M.A. say I want to get?
A lot of times they reach out to me. So it's like with Dave East, it was like I think we connected on Twitter. That's happened a lot of times. Like I hooked up, not for nothing. Like Lecrae will tell you, Lecrae was unheard of in the hip hop world, right? And I saw him he had the #1 album on iTunes, and no one had ever heard of him. And me and my partner, JFK, was sitting there just looking at the computer like, who is this guy? I went on his Twitter. He followed me. Thank God he followed me because he wouldn't see the message otherwise. I DM'd him. I'm like, yo, come up to the radio show. He's like, done deal. And the next thing you know, we got all these records. I put out a single with him that was one of the most top-selling records on my album. He went on to get a Grammy and all this. I got him in XXL, all that. I introduced him to like the hip hop world, and I always pride myself on that too, because I always hated how he always got put in a box because he makes, they call it Christian hip hop, but his music isn't over preachy. It's dope. He raps his ass off. He's a dope MC.
Super talented.
Like I always try to stay on top of that. That's a perfect example. The same thing I said with Dave East and like Action Bronson. He had 200 views on his video. Same thing, I DM'd him. I'm like, it was in the middle of a snowstorm. I was like, come through. We're working on this EP live. He came through, spit his verse, showed up with no pants on, just shorts, and a snowstorm. Like the snow is like 2-3 feet high, and he walks through the whole shit with like not sandals, but he had like moccasins or some shit and shorts on. And he knocked the verse out. The next day, he was on Two Dope Boys. It was his first time on the internet.
What was your first impression
of Action?
Yeah,
I was like, this kid's different. And then within a couple of days, I was like, nah, he's going to be a star. And at the same time, a lot of people, I'm sure Action knows this, but there was some cats in the industry that were like, yo, he sounds too much like Ghostface.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I literally was on tour arguing with certain people, and they were like, yo, you're bugging working with him, like doing a whole album with him, you're bugging. And now I look at them like, hey, how you doing, buddy? What's going on? But
you still cool with Action?
Yeah, that's family, man. Like, he's cool with my daughter. Like,
yeah,
that's family, man. Always. Like, me and Action might not even work together. He's on my new album, by the way. But we might not even work with each other. There was probably a year and a half where we didn't do anything, and we're right back to it. You know what I mean? It's like we'll never skip a beat.
I think that's the way friendship should be, too.
Absolutely.
I think what happens is we put too much emotion in shit, people, these days. Like, for instance, if I'm cool with Statik, if I'm cool with you, and say we don't speak all the time, but as soon as we speak, we're cool. We pick up where we left off. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's it. And there's been some shadiness that went on in the industry that, like, kind of, I think, set me in Action back a little bit to an extent. Like, we did a shady record deal at one point. No pun intended, not Shady Records, but just a whack deal. And it, like, rubbed both of us the wrong way. And then, certain people have done weird shit. But it's like, at the end of the day, like I said, we see each other now. He's on the new album, all that. Like, it is what it is. He knows what it is. That's my dude. But
to see his journey has been amazing, too. Yeah. I mean, you think about it. How early you are with him.
He went from cooking with Hennessy on my stove in Bushwick to having 2-3 TV shows.
Yeah, and it's great. Even think about, like, I think, like, we were the first. We brought him on 2010 on a Combat Jack show. It's like the first time he's ever been on anything like that. I don't know if you remember that.
Wait, I was there.
Yeah, that's right. You were there at PNC Radio.
Yeah, man, I was there.
Do you remember that?
I'm in the interview with him.
It's crazy, man.
That's what I'm talking about, though. That's early.
2010, that was.
Yeah.
Is that crazy? Fuck, man.
We put out the album right then.
Listen, how many albums you up to now?
Solo albums, obviously this is the 8th one. It's called 8. But as far as, like, I got an album with Saigon. I got an album with Freddie Gibbs, with Freeway, with Action, with Strong Arm Steady. I got 2 with Term. I got I got a lot, man. I got a album with Freddie Fox. I got a bunch of albums, man. Like, I think it's like 26 or something. Like, full albums out.
In this world of hip-hop, you become a DJ, you become a producer. There's certain money involved in things that you do. Maybe in the beginning you were selling a beat for a small amount.
Dude, I used to sell beats for pizza. I'd be like, yo, if you buy me a pizza, I'll give you a beat.
Really?
That's how broke I was in, like,
Now, not
2000.
getting in your business, what do some beats go for now?
My beats?
Yeah.
Shit. If it's on a major label, it's a car.
Okay.
I mean, maybe a cheap new car, an expensive used car, but it's still a car.
Okay.
A Rolex, you know what I mean?
But think about that. From a free pizza to that.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. But, for the indie cats, I always try to keep it reasonable, but I have a scale on how I do things,
Now, when you work with, like, say, a new artist, you don't even know what he could be. How do you, like, is that something like an IOU or we'll work it out later?
See, I've seen it get funny with certain people. So now it's like I approach it different. I'll be like, if they're completely unheard of, I'll be like, yo, this is what we're going to do. You can't put the records out without, like, me approving it or whatever, but I have some ideas for it. It's happened recently where I'm kind of sitting on a couple things, waiting to do the right thing with that particular song or project. But I'm always about finding new talent that sparks excitement. It's just about what to do with it. Because I've got played by certain people that I wouldn't necessarily say played because I knew what was going on the whole time and I allowed it to happen. I don't want to say played, but I will say I did not take the right measures with certain people where I should have not owned, but got a percentage of something. And I watched a lot of people get rich.
Now,
so it's like, I'm not moving forward. If I found a new artist as early as someone like an Action or someone like that, it's going to be a production deal where I'm getting a piece no matter what.
Sure, and the reason why I ask that for is because some people just don't know.
Right.
Nothing against you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Meaning like how sometimes you learn this shit on the fly.
Absolutely. That's why you take a gamble. It's all a gamble, man. This is hip hop music, bro. The fact that cats are making living off it is crazy, because that was never even my intent ever in my life.
A living. Think about that.
Ever. It never was. I think anyone that gets into it for that doesn't usually last.
Sure. Longevity, right?
Yeah.
If you weren't doing this, what the fuck would you be doing? Would you think?
Something with computers. I've always been real into like technology and computers. I was supposed to be a baseball player, man.
Really?
Yeah, I got a disease in my arm. That's what really got me into DJing so heavy.
What kind of disease?
It's called Panner's disease. Basically, it's not an actual disease. That's the funny thing. They call it that because a lot of panners back in like the gold rush, you know, all day they're sifting for gold. I was pitching, and it just somehow my arm got like a piece of bone like went into the joint to where I can't straighten it. That's as straight as my arm goes. It's crazy. It's just like my elbow is forever fucked. I've had 4 surgeries. There's nothing they could do about it. So it's like the doctor was basically like, "You're never playing baseball again."
The Red Sox didn't want you.
Hey, I mean, I was young when it happened, but I was like focused.
I got love for you, Statik. I hate the fucking Red Sox. I hate your Celtics. I hate all your fucking.
Cool. I hate the Yankees.
I know. Hey, I think I saw you.
I hate the Giants and the Yankees. I ain't got no beef with other. I mean, the Jets are trash. The Mets, you know what? I respect the history. The Yankees, I respect the wins, but I fucking hate a lot of the players.
Yeah.
The old ones, though, I don't even know who plays for them now. Like, I met Derek Jeter a couple months ago, and I walked up to him and I was like, "Listen," I was wearing a Red Sox hat. I go, "I fucking hate the Yankees, but I always respected you," because he has class.
Sure.
He's a classy player. I don't think anyone in the Yankees would disrespect Big Papi. He got class, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But then there's pieces of shit like Johnny Damon, or, you know, all these guys doing all kinds of other funky shit. Like, I don't fuck with A-Rod.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, you know?
Have you ever DJ'd like any wedding or celebrity party like that?
Yeah. I've done some crazy shit, actually, that I've never really talked about. I DJ'd for about 15 minutes while D. Wade walked in the hotel suite, signed his paperwork with Converse, and left.
Wow.
This is what, 2004? Pretty sure it was a $30 million deal. He was in the room for less than 5 minutes. And they told me only play Jay-Z and Mos Def. That's what he wanted to hear.
Classic.
So I DJ'd that. I DJ'd a party for Paul Pierce that LeBron was at. I put up a picture recently of that. LeBron had just signed to the NBA, and it was like he had to have been 18 years old. I was probably 19, 20, and I DJ'd that party. I met him real early. I DJ'd a lot of the Celtics parties back in the day, and like some man, I'm trying to think. I've done a lot of shit in like Vegas I'm trying to remember. It's all a blur.
Hey, listen, there was a lot of Hennessy that you had.
Yeah, man.
You know, listen, you have been in the studio creating multiple amount of songs. What has been, like, I'm saying, I don't want to mention one, but one of your most memorable moments in the studio?
Oh, man. I mean, definitely working with Kanye on Hawaii, just being there and, like, kind of being a fly on the wall, but also getting involved on a couple joints that there was blurred lines of how much made it on the album, but I definitely wish I got a little credit, but that's a different story. I was there for Dark Twisted Fantasy for like a couple of days, and that was definitely the most memorable studio session of my life ever. It's not even
Why is that?
First of all, prior to the session, I go to just breakfast at his house, and I'm straight out of Central Bookings. I miss my flight. I fly to Hawaii, and I'm like, I can finally sleep because I'm supposed to be DJing for Nas. That's why I'm there. I'm like, the show ain't till later, sound check ain't till later. I'm going to sleep. And right as I'm about to lay down, Consequences like, "Yo, you in Hawaii? I heard you out here. Come to Ye's house for breakfast." So I'm like, I'm going to go over there. I'm not going to sleep.
Sure.
So I walk in, and it's like, it's at a dead end, right? I don't know what house to pick. I'm like, you know what? I hear people from that one. So I walk in this driveway, walk around, and I knock, and they're like, "Come on in." The door's like cracked open a little bit. It's straight out of a like Chappelle skit or something.
Classic.
Bro. So I walk in the kitchen, and it's like at this like Addams Family table. It's Kanye, Amber, Pusha T, Q-Tip, Pete Rock, The RZA, Common, No ID, Stephen Victor. Like, this is crazy. Like, I'm just like, oh shit. Like, it's really Consequence, obviously. I'm like, it's really like going down out here. Like, he's in the zone right now working on this album. So I'm all excited. So anyway, later that day, Kanye's like, come to the studio. And I brought Nas over there, and, just being there for a couple of days working on it, even after Nas left and all that, I stayed, and then I went back the next day. And at the same time, Common was working with No ID upstairs, and that was cool too, because I walked in the room like we were talking about hip-hop tattoos, and Common's like, oh, shit. He's like, I just noticed your tattoo. And I completely, I wasn't thinking about the whole time.
That's crazy.
No ID produced that song too. So that was kind of a cool moment. And then just those sessions were crazy. You know how there's like those infamous pictures on the internet of the wall in the studio where it's like, one of them was like, what would Mobb Deep do? And then one would be like, no tweeting. And if you violated, they write the name under it. So it was like Big Sean written under no tweeting, because I guess he did it. Like it was just crazy being there for all that and like really taking it in, because that ended up being, one of the greatest albums ever. I think it's one of, if not Kanye's best album, it's up there.
Super special.
Yeah.
You speak about having Nas is Illmatic. It's funny for the internet's listening. I went to Sweet Chick. I visit there a bunch of times. Shouts to John. Shouts to Kyle.
Yeah.
And I walk in and I see you. And dap you up. I dapped John up. I forgot who else was sitting down there. Green Lantern comes over to me. He's like, yo, I'm a big fan. What's up, man? We never met. I was like, get the fuck out of here, man. I'm a big fan of you. So we start chopping. I look, I'm like, yo, is that fucking Nas over there? And then, this is how blind I am. I didn't even know Nicki Minaj came in that fucking joint. I was like, who the fuck is that?
It's funny because I walked to the bathroom and I came back and like she must have sat down while I was in the bathroom, and I come back and I just look up. I'm like, hey, how you doing? And Nas like, yo, peace. Y'all know each other. It was real cool, man. Shout out to Nicki and Nas's fam.
Now you obviously met Nas way before that.
Yeah, like I said, I was DJing for him in Hawaii. I did 2 mixtapes with him, like official mixtapes.
Really?
Yeah.
When did he see that tat?
You know what? I showed him at Wireless in the UK. It was probably the best Wireless ever too. I was with Joey, Tribe Called Quest, Nas, and who else? Oh, Jay-Z and Justin Timberlake. This is all the same day, same stage. Like, this is quite a show. And I had like, Nas was getting bothered by someone, and I walked up to him and like, was like, yo, peep the new I like went to show him and he got like distracted. I got like the worst reaction ever. And I don't even think he read it. Like, I think it was just something he got distracted from, and I was like, ah. And then, like, later on, another time at Sweet Chick, I showed him, and he was like, yo, he thought it was dope. But I remember the first time I showed him, it was like the lackluster response.
From you loving hip-hop so much, you ever think about doing some outside things like he's doing? Because I think he's inspiring.
Absolutely.
There's so many other people.
I'm in talks right now about opening a certain... Actually, John helped me with some advice for it. John's like, that's all family, man. Shout out to Peter as well. Like, that's all Kyle, the whole Sweet Chick crew. Yep. Yeah, like, I'm working on something now. Because, people always, like, associate me with Boston and New England and all that. That's my life. But I've been here for 14 years. I'm raising a daughter here. Like, I'm pretty Brooklyn at this point as far as my lifestyle, you know what I mean? So, like, the people I hang out with in the neighborhood where I live is like, these people have been living there their whole life and their families as well. Like, so I'm so involved with some of these cats now that we're talking about opening, respectable local businesses, not like some cats that move out of town, from out of town and open this new business. Sure. It's like, if I do it, I'm going to open with cats from the neighborhood. You know what I mean? You obviously grew up in Boston, but what made you move to New York City? The glass ceiling, man, in Boston. It's like, it got to the point where the only other person I ever know to really do it is Clinton Sparks. At one point moved to LA, but he always had a house in Boston. It was like, when I moved, it was like, this is no turning back. Like, I love it. I love so much about, New England, from Vermont to the seafood in Maine to New Hampshire to Massachusetts, the sports. I love all of it, but I'm just in that zone now where I'm just like, this is it, man. Like, now it's like I have a family here, so I can't. It's not even a thought to ever move back there.
But think about it. It's interesting to understand this. Many people are in that situation right now. Not only Boston, in a place where they feel like they're in a ceiling. It's not easy to just pick up and fucking leave. Do you remember the process?
Hard.
Do you remember?
And I had a booming business. We were doing all G Units, Northeast Marketing. We were doing Atlantic Records, Def Jam, Reebok. All these companies, like, I had monthly retainers with them, and a lot of people thought I was bugging moving. And I had people, and I was on the radio pretty much 6 days a week, because basically
in Boston,
I was filling in for Chubby Chubb when he was on tour with Khalees, and Khalees got off tour, and Chubb came back, and it was like, all right, bro, I'm gonna have you like filling on the weekends, blah blah blah. And I'm like, never in my life have I ever regressed career-wise. So at that point, I was like, I'm not going to just sit here and like wait to be called back to the radio. Like, I love being on the radio. I love doing this. I've DJ'd every club in the city. This is 2003 at this point. I had just opened a record store called Crates, and I was like, I'm out. Like, I just decided. It was like a 1 week decision. It wasn't even
What'd
like,
you get,
oh, I'm gonna
apartment? How'd you even, would you just...
one of my best friends from when I was growing up, Doug, he was going to Manhattan College in the Bronx. And he was like, yo, I got a dope neighborhood. It's Riverdale, anyone that knows Riverdale in New York City is one of the nicest neighborhoods. And I was just like, yeah, it's cool. But when I got there, it was so quiet. I was getting the cops called on me for music and all that. Like, I lived there for, I think, 3 years. But I was quick to move to Brooklyn because it was just a whole different vibe. And I love the Bronx, but Riverdale, a lot of people say Riverdale ain't even the Bronx because it's like not what you think of Fordham and the South Bronx and all that. It's just a different vibe. I moved to Bushwick, and that was like when Bushwick was really on the come up and all that. It was still grimy as hell. This is 2007 when I moved to Bushwick. And so it's been 10 years. And I watched that neighborhood completely change in so many ways. And I have a lot of family and friends from there too. Like, Tony Touch is literally family with me now. That's my daughter's uncle.
Nice.
And, Destroy, who was a good friend of mine, they're all from that neighborhood. So when I moved there, it's like, I still felt like I was connected a little bit.
Another way of getting connected with the youth is Joey Badass.
Yeah, that's years later.
When's the first time you ever met Joey?
2000, I want to say 2012, the beginning, maybe late 2011. It was right after Action had come out and like starting to bubble. Mac Miller had just blown up, and all these people were coming through my house on the reg recording. Like, Mac was always coming through. I was the first person to ever like do anything with Mac in New York. He came to my radio show.
How did that even happen?
I'll tell you how that happened. Wiz Khalifa told Artie from Rostrum Records, he's like, I want beats. And one of Artie's artists shot to Boaz. Boaz was coming through with the brown paper bag.
Boaz from Pittsburgh,
yeah,
right?
he's on Rostrum as well. Shout out to Bo. He's dope, man. He's always been underrated. He came through with a brown paper bag for a beat, right? And Artie was kind of like, yo, Wiz wants a beat too. And I was like, well, you know the deal. And he was kind of looking at me like, well, Wiz is on Atlantic, bro. He was on Warner at the time. He wasn't on Atlantic. And he was like, he kind of looked at me crazy like, bro, you should be working with Wiz. He's going to blow up. And I was like, I wasn't feeling that. The Say Yes record was cool. I wasn't, mad at it. I was playing on the radio. I was syndicated at that time. And I was on like 10 stations a week playing that. But I still wasn't crazy about it to the point where I was just going to give him some free beats or whatever. And, to this day, I don't really just give out free beats. It's cool if you do a trade or something. But anyway, I fronted on Wiz. And guess what? Wiz got dropped by Warner. I was like, I told you. I didn't say it like I told you maliciously. I was like, I knew that record wasn't going to pop. He puts out Kush and Orange Juice mixtape. I'm like, wait a second. I like this. Like, especially the song Mesmerize. I was like, damn, I kind of, you know what? I want to work with Wiz. So I reached out to Artie and he's like, yo, he's busy right now. I was like, okay. So I was like, you know what? You got that one. And then all of a sudden I hear this kid, Mac Miller, the pizza and Kool-Aid and frozen pizza.
Yep.
I hear that and I'm like, I could already see, I just knew he was different and he was going to be something big. So I reached out to Artie like, yo, I learned my lesson with Wiz. Let's do this the right way. I want Mac to come up here before anyone else gets him. He had never been in New York City in his life. He came up to my show, destroyed it, came up literally 3 days later, came to the crib in Bushwick, knocked out like probably 5 records that day. And, he kept coming up consistently for a long time. And I just watched him take off, man. I'm really proud of that kid. And like I said a little bit after that, this is the same time I'm trying to break Action in. And Action was like just behind him. Like, it took Action a little bit longer, but he was like coming around. Like, we were doing the live EP with Freeway in my house with XXL, where we did 6 songs in 6 hours. And like, I remember Mac, like, Freeway didn't know who Mac was. I was like, yo, trust me. It was the same day. This is actually funny now. It was the same day we filmed the Donald Trump video by Mac Miller, which ironically, think about this. Our president was beefing with Mac Miller a couple years ago, and now he's president. That's fucking insane.
Think about
like a reality star was talking shit about Mac Miller 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and he's the president now. Moving on, we did that live EP with Freeway the same day that Mac was shooting the
Donald Trump video.
So Matt came through because I ran over there, got my cameo in it. That video got like 150 million views. I'm all up in it, which is, I hate the title of it. But anyway, so that day he came through and Freeway was like, yo, you know what? If I'm going to listen to you, I'm going to put him on it. So then Action shows up a little later. I'm like, yo, this kid, Action Bronson. And Freeway is like, listen, dude, I put your other man on it. I'm not putting a bunch of people I don't know on my EP. And I'm like, I felt him. And Action kind of got fronted on. He felt a certain way. He said that later. But, nevertheless, he was there. He was in the mix. And then shortly after that, I remember Freeway reaching out like, yo, my favorite rappers. He wanted to work with Action now. It's funny how things change. Shout out to Free, man. He's one of the most hip-hop dudes.
I spoke to Free today. It's funny, we're talking about health and how important it is. And, how we need to, in hip-hop, too, think about it, we try to look fresh.
Yeah.
But that's on the outside. Most people don't ever try to push being healthy. Nobody's out here talking about, get yourself a colonoscopy. Nobody's ever talking about, like, plant-based foods. I mean, now you're starting to hear more
It's
stuff.
starting to get real popular now.
But, yeah, and it should be. Because, you think about it, even like, and not to jump off, I want to stay on what we were speaking about, but you think about, like, Sean Price.
Yeah.
You think about, Sean Price had a lot of different things that he could have probably went out, like sleep apnea.
There's a lot that Sean could have done different. Yeah. There's a lot.
His health-wise. But even, you know what? One thing about Sean Price that I always love that you were able to do. So, I don't know if you remember this, but Sean was like, when he knew me and Bum were cool, he was like, yo, I fuck with Bum. But Sean was such a Brooklyn dude. He was like, kind of like, yo, I fuck with the dude, but, I don't know, maybe give him my number, but if you don't want to, fuck him then. And I was like, yo, P, I'll reach out to him. So I hit Bun.
I don't think people understand how much Sean did not give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I'd say an A-list name. I'd be like, yo, I'm going to put this one on the song with you. He'd be like, hell no, that motherfucker's whack. I'd be like, all right, my bad. Like, and this would be someone that would be a huge look for Sean, like, career-wise. Sean would rather do a song with, like, one of the homies from around the way just because he fucks with him. He doesn't fuck with the other dude. Like, he never cared about any of that.
Sure.
And you got to respect that.
Sean P could have been way bigger than he ever wanted to be.
Yeah.
If he wanted to sell out.
Yeah.
But finishing telling that story, so I get him and Bun on a three-way call. And they start talking. And then they take each other's numbers. I put them in a group text after that.
I already know where this ends up.
Yeah. And I know he wanted to work with him so bad. And I wasn't, I put them together and I was like, yo, this may not happen. And then you come along and fucking put Styles P, Sean P, and Bum B together on a song. And, and sadly, rest in peace, but, we lost Sean. But, like, I don't know, that was a special moment, man. Like, I feel like for me to put them together, for you to get those two guys together on a song, it meant more than people could know,
Yeah.
Because they both admired each other.
I don't want to talk about too much personal stuff, but something that always kind of hit me a certain way is I got off a flight from Europe, and Sean Price had called me like 100 times while I was at like customs, and I'm like, yo, why is he calling me so much? And I get outside, you're not allowed to use phone. For people that don't go international, you can't just pick up your phone when you're going through customs. And this is before I had like global entry and all that. So I'm sitting in line for a while. You're not supposed to be on the phone. So I was like, I text him. I was like, I'll call you back. So I leave. I walk outside and I answer the phone. He's like, tell me it ain't true. Tell me it ain't true. And I'm like, what's up? And he's like, yo, that's true about Styles P's daughter. And he was in tears.
Mm.
And I found out right then about what happened, much love to Styles. That's family. Shout out to his wife.
Definitely.
That was a tough thing. And when Sean P passed, Styles was one of the first people calling me about that. And it was like, it's just crazy, man. Like how those calls happened so shortly. Sean passed a couple months later.
Sure.
And it's just like, the hip hop thing is like such a more powerful thing than beats and rhymes, man. Like the relationships of people that these people would never meet in their life, most likely. You know what I mean? Especially someone like me coming from 300 miles away. But the fact that I'm cool with people like Freeway and Bun B and Styles and Sean P, these are all people that the odds in the millions that they would never meet ever.
Sure.
And it's like,
and that you admired growing up
on a family level. You know what I mean? Like me and Sean went through so much where like he was like coaching me when my daughter was born, how the fuck to walk away from fights and all this shit. Like, and it's just crazy when I put it all together. It all comes like 360, man. It's like the energy in the circle's crazy.
You know, and it's crazy too because it's like when I think about how much Sean, all he cared about was just like being real and fucking with people, just fucking with people that he fuck with. You know what I mean? Like, man, I used to call the crib. Motherfucker had the worst cell phone. He had the Boost Mobile.
I never even had his. I have like 100 Boost Mobile numbers on him, and I never called any of them. Always, to this day, I call their crib. Like, if I got to talk to Bernadette, I don't call her cell phone. I know it exists. I just call the crib, and I get, little Sean will be like, "What?"
Yeah,
like that melts my heart really because I'm used to the old Bernadette used to answer the phone like, "What the fuck do you want?"
Yeah.
And it's just.
Man, rest in peace, Sean P. Man, most definitely, man. I mean, like I said, I don't want to make this. I mean, some of my conversations become personal, but that's because people are heartfelt people.
You know what is there's different kinds of legends, man. And Sean Price is without a question a legend on the microphone, but he was a legend as a person, man. And like at the end of the day, when I look back at my life experiences dealing with a Sean Price or someone like. I don't even think about his music ever. Like, I love his music. I play it, but like the memories, man, like that guy really helped shape a lot of like not for nothing. I'm signed to Duck Down to this day because of Sean Price.
That's right. Well, you know what? Let's take a quick break, and we're gonna go back to Duck Down, and I want to talk about Joey Badass because we were
I never even got into
we were starting to get there. Internets, listen, sitting down with the one and only Statik Selektah, Boston's own, but now New York bred,
East Coast owned, Northeast.
There you go. Be right back. Don't go nowhere. Cheer.
Yo, 1212. This is DJ Muggs live from LA via Queens, New York. You know what I'm saying? Live on the Premium Pete Show 1-2.
Internets, we already told you that this episode is sponsored by the good folks at Bevel. Listen, you want to get your loved one something special? Get them a Bevel. Their shaver, their razor is the leader in products in the grooming industry. Man, let me tell you something. Barbers all over the world are using Bevel. It's lighter. The battery lasts longer, and shape up or fades. Listen, attention all barbers out there. Bevel products are amazing. That shaver will get a super swaggy lineup. You want a discount on that? You want to get your loved one a Bevel product? Get bevel.com/Pete. Save yourself some money and get someone a Bevel product today for the holiday season. Happy holidays, Internets. Now let's get back to the show. Cheer. Internets, and we're back sitting here with Statik Selektah.
Yeah.
Listen, we were going into Joey.
Yeah.
Pause. Talking about when the first time you met him.
Yeah.
Right? What did you even think about the kid first time you seen him?
Well, the first time before anything, Johnny Shipe sent me an email and was like, I got this kid, Joey Badass, that I want you to work with. And I was like, off the rip, I was like, what's that, a punk band? Like, I didn't understand. The name caught me off guard at first. And he sent me the survival tactics video about a month later. And I saw it, and I was like, you know what? These kids it was him and Steve's, rest in peace, Steve's. And I saw him, and I was like, these kids are dope, but I know that beat. It's a record from the 90s they were just rapping on. There was no hook.
Sure.
And I was like, it's cool. Like, I like it. I'm happy that these kids are trying to keep that sound going, but I was like, I want to hear some records. And a little bit later, I saw the video for Hard Knock with Joey and CJ, and that was an original song. And I was like, you know what, bro? I was like, yeah, I'm all about it. So they hit me up, and they were like, Joey needs scratches for his mixtape. He wants to come through the studio. Can you do it? I'm like, yeah, come through. So he comes through. He definitely like knew who I was, but I don't think he understood like what I produced and my beats and all that. Because he came through like, do the cuts, and then he was like, all right, we about to be out. And I'm like, wait, what? I was like, dog, I didn't even play you no tracks or nothing. The first beat I played him was ended up being Don't Front, which is on 1999. Mm-hmm. And him and CJ are there. And they just like put the mic on. Like the second they heard it, they were like, oh, we like this. Like put the mic on. And they both spit their verses real quick. And I did a quick mix. There was already scratching on the song, actually. Oh, no. He there was one scratch on the intro, but he said on the hook, don't front. So I scratched the, don't front. And gave it to him, and, they picked a couple of the beats and left. And that was that. And the next week, the mixtape came out, and it was on there. Like, we didn't even mix it or master it. They just liked my mix, because I usually mix as I go. And they put it on the mixtape, and, boom. I watched Joey just, like, all of a sudden, it's everywhere. And, I think a week later, I was on tour in Europe with Term, and we did Splash Festival, and Action was supposed to go on right after us. And Action, like, couldn't do it for some reason. He like basically canceled the gig, and Joey had happened to be on his first run in Europe, and they were like, they put Joey in replace of Action, and this is early. His mixtape had just came out, but he was already popping. So he ended up going on like right next to us at the show, and we kicked it and all that, and then we were just kicking it, and I was telling him about things that I had dealt with Action and Mac Miller and all this, like talking about the recent cats that have been coming through the studio and all that. And, he ended up coming back through when we got back to the States, and we did, Steez was with him, and we did Like Water. We did Interlude 47. We did a bunch of joints in one day that they all made the Pro Era mixtape.
Now, he's been touring like crazy for years.
Yeah.
Your deal with him, like, is that like is a handshake deal? Like, how did you become
no
a
deal.
tour?
I mean, I DJ'd 90% of those gigs.
Okay.
Like I was on.
How'd that happen?
Basically, Shipes brought me into one of the only complaints I've ever heard about Joey ever is when he first started doing shows, people were complaining that he was rapping over the vocals. And for an MC like him, it's one thing if you go see one of these auto-tune rappers and you don't want to really hear them try to sing, you know what I mean? But when it comes to like a real rapper, like you don't want to hear Nas over his lyrics. You want to hear Nas rap. Same thing with Jay. Same thing with whoever. So with Joey, I was like, yo, Johnny, I was like, let me tell you right now that he needs to stop rapping over the lyrics. And like, I had heard that because I was in Europe, like I said, on that run, and some of the promoters we were seeing were being like, yo, Joey's dope, but he was rapping over the lyrics. This is early, you know what I mean? 2012. So I was like, yo, bring me in. I'm a DJ for him, put together a real show with scratches and all this shit. Like, and we basically, the first tour that we did together was the Beast Coast tour. And it was March 2013. It started at South by Southwest, and we did like 40 dates or something. And after that, up until this year, like I literally did every tour except I didn't do the Schoolboy Q tour, and this year I did the tour with Logic. I did the first 11 days, and I went home for my daughter's birthday and just stayed back to work on the album. But besides that, I've done every other Joey show ever. So like I've seen the whole transformation, and I went on to Before the Money, the first actual album, that was all like mixed and mastered in my daughter's room. And we actually mastered it here in the studio, the engine room. But as far as all the mixing and like the initial master and all that was all done in my daughter's room now, which is now, it's her room now. It's not a studio anymore. Yeah. But, a lot of history went down in that room. And this is after my Bushwick apartment. This is when I moved to Williamsburg. And the only things we did in that album, in that room, is I did the first beat I made in that room was Eminem, Detroit vs. Everybody. Then we did.
Wait, you can't just run over that. How did that even? How does that fall in your lap?
I don't want to leave the Joey's thing.
Okay. Let's continue, Joey. We'll get back to M.
So anyway, Joey's album Before the Money was number 1 on the rap chart. Did like 60-something thousand first week. This is all out of my basement, like in my crib, bro. I was very proud of that. It's my first number 1. And during this time, you got to realize too, we dealt with the loss of Capital Steez, which really affected the whole Pro Era thing and changed the way it was going.
Sure.
And then right before Joey's album was finished, his cousin Junior, who was he was all of our road manager and his day-to-day manager and one of his best friends, he lived with Joey and everything, passed away in a car accident like right before the album was completed. Like that album almost didn't come out anywhere close to that time. But Joey wanted to keep going just for Junior's like priority in life was Joey making it to the level he wanted to get at. And I think Junior took it more serious than anyone. So like, that dude will always be part of Joey's story because a lot of L's, man.
How throughout that time you were right there, how did they, I mean, I know you said that because of what he wanted, but the atmosphere had to be tough. It had to be like when you go through that shit, how did they create? How did they continue to go out on tour? Like, was it hard or?
I mean, we were on tour when he passed, and we had to, like, basically, I don't want to get too detailed into it, but there was a area of time where, like, they were like, yo, he's going to be okay. So Joey, everybody was like, Junior would want you to keep going. And I think he got pneumonia or something a couple of days later and passed. And that was like, we canceled the rest of the tour, came back home. And I think the album was like just turned in when that happened. So it was like, it was just a really crazy time, man. And Junior, I remember the last night, man. We were in London the night before he went back home, and what happened, and he was just so happy that we had sold. Joey had sold out the O2, and I forget what part of London that is. Anyway, it's one of the biggest venues in London, and he was just so proud of the whole situation, man. And his spirit definitely stays with all of us.
It's great to see that you've been able to form a relationship with them.
Yeah.
Watch his journey, but also too, you don't see everyone.
It becomes family though, you know what I mean, like to the point where, like his mother, my mother, everybody is very. It's a family unit, even if we're away from each other. Like right now, he's on tour in Europe. When he gets back, like it's always the same with us, man.
Sure.
Through all of
as it should be. You guys created greatness together. You said before you keep your ear to the street.
Right.
Okay, you worked with artists such as Euro Droog, a couple other people. Who are some people that you think are on the rise right now?
I mean, I'm real proud of Westside Gun and Conway because that's another group I can add to the, like, they had never been on Shade 45. I've never been on the radio. I brought on the Shade 45. Shout out to Al Lindstrom. He gave me the alley-oop on that one because he kind of, like, put me onto them as far as...
Big Al.
Yeah, shout out to Al. But, the second they came up, it was like... I'm not even going to lie. I didn't even know who Conway was when Westside Gun came to my show because I had just been up on Gun, really. Like, I just got up on him, and he was like, all right, now my brother's going to rap. And I was like, okay. And Conway just destroyed it. And I was like... I went from being like, who's this, to being like, yo, let's get in the lab tomorrow. And now it's like, it's been a family thing since. Prodigy was a big part of that too, man. Like,
yeah,
he got involved with them real early. And I DJ'd last Halloween in Buffalo. It was my first time in Buffalo. Westside Gun and Conway had just like really started to bubble. And they didn't even tell me. It's Halloween. I come out in a Jason mask. Prodigy comes out in a black mask. I didn't even know Prodigy was anywhere near Buffalo. They had flown him up, and he comes out and he's like, drop, play my shit. And I was like, that shit blew me away, and I'm behind the turntables playing the songs for him. So it was like things like that. They're doing the right thing. Like this, we recently did a Halloween again in Buffalo, and I'm at the airport about to go up. So I'm at the airport about to go up, and Lloyd Banks walks up, about to get on the flight with us. I'm like, let me guess, they're bringing you out in Buffalo. He's like, yeah. And it's cool. They also brought out Freeway as well. Like they go out of their way to make things special, especially for their hometown.
Yeah.
And I'm just proud of those guys. Them signing to Shady, it just makes complete
I love
sense.
what they're doing. I seen Westside Gun at Complex Con, man. I mean, I seen him at 8-3. Bro,
he's everywhere.
I fuck with the dude, man. He's funny too because he knows me from kicks and shit. And he's like, I'm just trying to stay fresh out of here, mad bags. But I love what he's doing. I definitely support what he's doing. What about Earth Gang?
They're real dope, man. They've been on my show a couple times, and I'm proud of them too. Like, signing with Cole, and we actually were supposed to be in the studio a couple of days ago. Shout out to them. They're real, like, really unique. They remind me of like a down south hieroglyphics. Going back to Westside Gun and Conway real quick. I don't know if you saw the video for number 8. It just dropped, but it's the beginning of the video right before Conway starts rapping. There's a shooting in the video that actually happened while we were shooting the video.
Are you serious?
Like, we were in Buffalo shooting. Like, I flew Term Up and my man Nige and my man Sabino. We all went to do the video in Buffalo, and we didn't even get to get Conway there because as soon as we started shooting the video, they shot up the parking lot, and like there was some kind of issue. We were at the strip club. We went outside to shoot the video, and that shit happened. So when you see that in the video, the audio's not edited. Nothing is edited. We just threw that in there, like, yo, just to show you like how real it is in that situation. But we ended up shooting West Side's part after, but we had to get Conway to come back to New York to shoot his part. So that was like,
I gotta
just
check
part of the
that out.
fuckery. Yeah, you got to see that because people have music videos with guns and all that. I don't promote none of that, but it really happened in the video. So it was like, you know what, to not put that is like, it's a talk piece because that was my second time in Buffalo. It's crazy up there.
The mozzarella, the Buffalo mozzarella. Listen, you put together a bunch of albums, bunch of mixtapes, bunch of albums.
Right.
How hard is it to get artists on these albums? Because I know, look, at the end of the day, you're a creator.
Yeah.
But this shit sometimes is tough to put everybody. Like,
that's why I said my last album was my last, man. I was like so exhausted.
You talking about 7?
Yeah, Lucky 7. I was like, that's it. and a lot of the fans got mad. And, you know, I think Khaled's the number one reason I kept going, because he always, like, he started putting out albums right around the same time I started putting out albums in like 2006, 2007. And he was like the more pop, I don't want to say pop, but the more mainstream version of what I was doing. Like, I would put out an album featuring, you know, Cassidy and Freeway and Styles P and all these guys, and he would put out an album with, you know, Drake and Nicki Minaj and all that, and Rick Ross. And that was cool. Like, I was always compared to him because nobody else is really doing what we do, like, on any level.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Putting out albums.
Like, consistently, albums almost every year.
Sure.
So, anyway, when I said Lucky 7 was my last album, and then Khaled started blowing up with the Snapchat thing, and I'm just, like, so proud of this. You know, he's my friend, too. Like, that's family. And watching him blow up, and then seeing his son born, you know, his son was born probably a year after my daughter. But just that whole energy and how he was just so starting a new energy with it, right? And then like about a year ago, I was like, you know what? I should do another album. Like, it was just a conversation between me, a couple friends, you know, Term, Joey. Joey's like, dude, do it. What are you talking about? I don't know why you said you weren't going to anyway. And I was like, what do I call it? And I'll forget it. Like, never forget it. It was like yesterday. He's sitting right next to me on the bus. He just points at my tattoo on my hand. He's like, 8. Because I got an 8 ball in my hand. I play a lot of pool, you know what I mean? There's a lot of reasons I got an 8 ball in my hand, but and literally I play pool almost every night. I love playing pool.
Once in a while, though.
Nah, not in a long time. I'm not going to act like I never did it, but not in a while. That's not why I got the tattoo, though. But because the 8 ball represents a lot to me. It's like the finish line. It's all like, that's the final thing in the game, you know what I mean? It's also, you know, I love the game of pool and the hustle. There's a hustle behind it, and it's like that New York attitude, like every time I play pool, I play for money. You know, if anyone in the room is down to play, which usually, especially in this city, you'll find someone that's down. And I just love it. You know what I mean?
You got to play Scarface.
Let's go.
He's pretty good. Listen.
Me and Lord Finesse played like 12 games in a row one night. That was funny. He's
good?
I won like the first 5 or 6, and I was drinking during the whole thing. And by the 6th game, I was finished, and he won the rest of them. We got to have a rematch. Shout out to Lord Finesse.
You know, you obviously put out, how many albums you're on now?
Number 8. This is my 8th like compilation style.
Yeah, and then you got mixtapes.
Yeah, but on this album, it was like, you know, the energy of my daughter's all over. She's talking all over the album, and like she does the intro, and it's like I had fun with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very here and now album as far as like who's been around. Everybody on the album is like people I've been working with recently. There's no one I went to chase. Like, people were surprised to see G-Eazy on it. You got to realize, I see G-Eazy at Coachella. We're like, yo, we got to do something. I see G-Eazy at Tyler's Festival in L.A. Yo, we got to do something. Like, these guys, you know, a lot of them have been listening to my radio show or whatever for years and know what I do. So it's funny when people will be like, yo, how'd you connect with 2 Chainz? I'm like, what do you mean? 2 Chainz is a hip-hop head. From the day I met him, probably 6 years ago, he's always been like, yo, salute. Like, I listen to your shit. So, you know, me and 2 Chainz connected, and we did a whole fucking project, and I'm just patiently waiting for that to come. But he told me it's the next one. So we're going to get that before anything from 2 Chainz. It's very special.
Statik 2 Chainz project.
It's the most exciting thing in hip-hop to me, even if I wasn't part of it. Because tell me 2 Chainz ain't just a fun rapper, bro.
Yeah.
And on this one, he's rapping like it's like Reasonable Doubt meets Aquemini. It's like so hip hop, and like I didn't go out of my lane. I kept it. I got creative with it, but I didn't like step outside and try to make a trap beat or nothing like that. You know, we have a couple songs out now, like Smoke Break. People went crazy when they heard that. That's why we did the project. But you know, Q-Tip's been. I don't want to give away too much, but Q-Tip's definitely been like putting in feedback on the album. And, you know, Tip is my big brother. Like, he's another guy I've been around the world with. We haven't even talked about none of that, too. There's so much, man. I traveled with Tip around the world for years, man. I DJ'd the whole Renaissance tour. I did some of the Rock the Bells with him. Like, that's my big bro on a whole nother level. I toured with Tribe. You know, that's a whole...
Man, you got a lot of shit, man.
That's like touring with the Rolling Stones, bro. Like, for real, Tribe Called Quest, I think people know, and they're not overlooked at all. But it's like, I don't think... Hip-hop is in such a social media age where people don't really understand how big some of this shit is, man. Like how big
some of the
Wu-Tang
bigger
Clan
people
is.
are, yeah.
Because you know what? Like someone might do something solo in Wu-Tang, it'll come out. Or like Rizzo might make a Wu-Tang album that's not a Wu-Tang Clan album, and it don't get the same treatment. But you understand these guys are fucking rock stars, bro. Like Tribe Called Quest, Wu-Tang Clan, De La Soul. Like these dudes are rock stars, bro. And I think we forget that because everything's flavor of the month now, and whatever's getting the most likes or retweets is like big. But look at Tribe. They came out last year, and that shit's gold. The shit was #1 in the country. Like that's amazing for someone to drop an album in what their first album was 90, 91, and 30 years, almost 30 years later, it's #1 again.
Insane.
That's rock star shit, bro.
I mean,
we got to celebrate that more,
yes.
Because everybody's so quick to be like, yo, so-and-so's trash. This shit's whack. Like, let's promote good shit, man.
Yeah, I speak about it all the time. In hip-hop, people try to say, oh, they're old or not relevant anymore. But I think that when you create great stuff, it'll last longevity. I mean,
there should never be slander on anything on that level, man. From Nas to Biggie to Eminem. Not for nothing. I'm happy he's going this way now. On the way here, I saw this Instagram post, and I don't care about any nerds getting upset. I will body anyone on this fucking argument. Ural Droog, I know Droog is like he's like a funny guy. He likes to put up shit and cause like certain conversations. He puts up a picture of Biggie on a wall next to a picture of MF Doom on a wall, right? And he goes, who's better? Or, you know what? Hold on. I got to say exactly what he wrote because I don't want to misquote him. Yo, this shit got me hot, bro, because you know what? I like MF Doom. I know what he's done for hip hop. Like dude's dope. He's one of the most creative dude. Like I fuck with MF Doom. You know what I mean? This is what he wrote. He put, who's the best of these two? That's what he wrote. And like 90% of his fucking replies are MF Doom.
What?
Now check this out. I wrote this shouldn't even be debatable. And like a bunch of kids came at me in the comments. First of all, I'm not arguing with you comment dudes. Second of all, Biggie Smalls has influenced more important people in this planet than arguably any other rapper. Like he's in the Tupac, Rakim conversation. Like even the rappers that came out after Biggie were influenced by Biggie.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, they came out before Biggie were influenced by Biggie after. Like, you're going to tell me, Nas raps about how Big changed his life. Jay-Z, what are we even talking about, bro? Like, someone like Drake or Kendrick or any of these guys will tell you Biggie's importance to hip-hop. Like, and I'm not dissing MF Doom. That's cool. That's like comparing, like I love Jay Dilla. He means so much to hip-hop. But don't compare Jay Dilla to Dr. Dre, bro. Like, it's just two different, it's oranges and apples, man. Like, don't do that. And it's like these kids now can do these debates online and win and be popular because of like.
Yeah, but they won't listen. Longevity. Look, you're still here because you know why? Because you create great stuff.
My point being is that like you don't talk bad about the Bigs, the Nas's, the J's, the M's because no matter what they do now, they did what they did for this culture that so many of us have a living off, and it made it this worldwide phenomenon.
Sure.
That's really, like, I know you could have the argument about MF Doom and be like, oh, he got fans all over Europe and all that. That's cool. Biggie Smalls has generated revenue for thousands of people through his work. Like, those people will never understand that. Acknowledge it. And the same thing with M. Like, I don't care what M does. That's M, bro. Like, that's Eminem. Whatever J does, that's Jay-Z. These are names that should be looked at like Chuck Berry, man. Like, in rock and roll, or like the Rolling Stones or the Beatles or whoever. It's like, you don't disrespect that, and that's what the problem, man.
Bottom line, people need to appreciate the contributions that were contributed, you know?
And I understand, like, it was easier for me coming up in 92, listening to rap and learning everything about it because I only had, 15 years of homework to do? Like, there wasn't rap records coming out really before 82. So that's 10 years of shit I had to learn. These kids now got to learn 30-something years of rap, bro. I understand that. It's not that easy. I don't expect the 18-year-old to know, all the Rockets releases. But if you're really passionate about this shit and you want to make it a career that's going to feed your family and their family, you got to learn the culture. That's my only thing. I don't want to sound like the old guy, but it gets to the point where it's disrespectful. So the way some of these kids.
No, listen, you're speaking the truth. You know, as we wind this episode down, I want to touch on a couple more things. One being Dream collabs, man.
The what?
Dream collabs, man. Who?
Oh, I mean, all that's left is nothing. I've worked with everybody I ever wanted to work with besides
Even artists?
Yeah.
There's nobody that right now.
Jay-Z. I mean, I signed to him, but I got to do a record.
Why'd you sign to Rock Nation for?
First of all, my name came up there first, and I was told that, and I was really always, not for nothing, like not to sell myself short. I always shoot for the stars, but I didn't even think that would even be a thing right now. It wasn't even on my radar. I was still so stuck in like certain. I was just so hands-on with my career that I was like, I don't even need something like that. And then I had the conversation. Shout out to Christy up there. She brought me in for a couple meetings. And the way things aligned between me working with J. Cole on Joey's album and the Locks and all this stuff just coming together at the time, it was all just making complete sense. And like they were so, welcoming up there. And there's a lot of excitement when I go up there and play my music. And that shit really made me feel a certain way. Like, this is the right place, and come on, man, this is the major leagues, bro.
Sure. And to be honest with you, I feel like you always found the way to reinvent yourself while you're still living.
Absolutely.
Like while you're still doing some of the
I've
same
things. I've done it many times, man.
And so you can't do it by yourself, man.
Absolutely. And they get the business correct,
Sure.
man. It's like everything's by the books, you know what I mean? It's like,
bro, if I have someone to take care of the business or take care of things like that, I'd rather give up a little to get more.
Yeah, I've been doing this shit dolo for a long time, man.
Stressful, no?
Yeah, but at the same time, I know where things are going. Now it's like, I got all kind of different accountants and, management and all this. It's great. No, it's dope.
You're about to open
I
up.
got to catch myself sometimes, like doing things I'm not supposed to do because I'm so used to hands-on shit.
You got the 8 album out.
Yeah, man.
You're on tour.
Yeah,
you got
always.
Supposedly maybe a 2 Chainz.
No, not supposed. Like,
I don't know.
Bro, it's on my phone right now.
Okay, I'm going to hear it. I want to hear it.
This isn't like, see, when I talk about shit, it's not like, yo, me and Chainz are doing an album. This has been in my phone for the last 12 months.
Okay.
Sitting.
I want to hear it after this. What else could people expect from Statik Selektah in 2018?
Expect a lot more TV stuff. I've been doing Jordan commercials for some time now.
Look at you now. Shouts to Reggie.
Shout out to Reg. Shout out to Dez, too. Dez is the man. I've been doing a lot more TV stuff. I don't want to talk about things that ain't, signed yet. Sure. But, shout out to Monster Energy. I've been doing, like the, what's it called? Ambassador stuff with them. Where, I DJ a lot of their events, and it's always in the studio. And I've been working with a lot more, corporate situations. But just look forward to a lot more new talent. And
the radio show on
Thursday, Shade 45, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That's been going for
always
years.
A party up there.
Yeah, man, it's changed a lot. Like having a little girl will change you on that level. We still have porn stars once in a while, but there's not really no nudity anymore. There used to be a lot of nudity.
I remember how many porn stars used to have out there.
Oh, man. Every week. Now
they were
it's
shooting
like
hard-boiled eggs out of the box.
Oh, we were doing all kinds of wild shit, man.
On social, at Statik.
At Statik Select. That's what K is. STATIK SELEKT. I feel like I'm forgetting stuff too, man.
Yeah, but
let
me tell you something. Your journey is you got to come back again when you drop another album. But not only that, even if maybe a TV show. Listen, honestly, I've always admired, like I said, you just not only creating content and not only your contributions, but just reinventing yourself all the time while continuing to push ahead.
Appreciate
so
it.
I definitely always appreciate that. Internet, make sure you check out the new album, 8. Make sure you check out the radio show. Check him out on social. And when you see him, say, listen, I fuck with you. But tell him that the Celtics suck or the Red Sox suck.
Oh, you're going to be sick with the Celtics this year. What are we
it's early yet, bro.
It's a lot, man.
It's early yet. Internet, listen, Statik Selektah, man. And
just know when we recorded this, Celtics in first place. Let's just leave it there.
Last thing, the Statik Selektah, the drop. Who is that?
That's a girl by the name of Erica, man. Shout out to her. She's just one of the homies when I lived in Boston. She was always in the club and we'd hang out and stuff. And one night I was like, hey, your voice, I like your accent. You want to do a drop for my mixtape? It was supposed to be just for the intro of the mixtape. And I just stuck with it for
Hey, listen, it's becoming a household name.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have you send me the drop, and as right now, as we close it out,
you got to put something behind it though, because this is what happens: is these internet cats will put out a freestyle and put that in the beginning and make it look like I played it on my show or something.
Okay, fuck it, we're not doing it.
We can put like an explosion or like a piano note or something.
Okay, you send me that, and then we'll put it.
Word
Internetos, Statik Selektah, my homie. Cheer.
Yeah.
Internetos, if you enjoyed that episode, I want you to reach out to me, email me, tweet me. Okay. Email thepremiumpeteshow@gmail.com, at Twitter, @PremiumPete, @PremiumPete on Instagram, @PremiumPete also. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you didn't like. And also, to all my small businesses or big business, no matter how small or big you are, you want to advertise with The Premium Pete Show, get at me. thepremiumpeteshow@gmail.com, and we'll figure something out, okay? Now make sure you subscribe, rate, and tell a friend to tell a friend. And I'll see you next episode. Cheer.